to the investment opportunities, the experience of the investors there, and we have our moderator from the World Energy Council, Mr. Bora Şekip. I'll give the floor to Bora. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for bringing us together. I hope it's going to be really beneficial, because the focal point of the panel is European markets and developed markets, and also emerging developing markets. They have different scales, opportunities. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our panelists. We have Goran Torgani with us from Trana University, and Taşkın. And Erdal from Girish, and Volkan from Bentek. Again, we have a guest from Poland, online participation. Dominika Taranko. I guess she's going to be with us, and she'll show some slides to us. Now he speaks in English.
Here, we exchanged certain ideas before the panel as to how we should organize this panel and the flow, so that our audience, you will have. Okay, so we are waiting for simultaneous translation. Yani kulaklık almak isteyenler varsa dışarıda kulaklıklar var.
Ses nasıl geliyor bu?
Bu daha iyi mi? Tamam. Buradan devam edeceğiz.
Biraz sıkıntı yaşadık ben. Yesterday we had some problems.
I think this is better. So, as I said, we discussed yesterday and before as to how we should organize this interesting panel to give you the best outcome, the information, knowledge, and vision about these different markets. So we have shared responsibilities among our panelists about the regions and different markets. As I said, some of them are developed markets, some of them are rather developing markets, big markets, small markets, different wind market sizes, growth potentials, etc. And some learnings, takeaways, lessons learned are available here from our distinguished panel. So we will focus on the characteristics of these markets, the wind market situation in each and every market we are going to discuss here. And also we will learn about, hopefully, the opportunities, challenges experienced, but mostly opportunities, I believe. There's a positive agenda, investor interest, and focus in these regions. So what to learn from our speakers about the current and future opportunities in these very markets. And we will wrap up, I believe, in time, around 3:30. So let me start with Lawrence. And this question will go to each of our speakers. As I said, the major characteristics of the markets. So I believe you will talk about Albania, an interesting market, rather small, as we all know, compared to the Turkish market, but a strong wind potential and interest. So what would you say about the current situation, major characteristics of the Albanian wind market, and what are the critical drivers, policy drivers, market drivers, and if you may, some information, numbers, data on the market size and growth potential could be very useful. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello to everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to talk Albanian energy market. With regard to this question, I will talk about the untapped potential in the wind energy market in Albania, market growth perspective, and the evolving regulatory business framework and opportunities that offer the Albanian energy market. Starting with the first one, regarding the Albanian the country has significant wind resources, especially in the coast and the mountainous area. And the recent assessment have evaluated there are 7 gigawatt of capacity to be installed. And from them, 700 megawatt are economic for the economic development. This makes Albania an attractive market for wind investment, especially considering the need country to diversify from its dominance in hydropower, especially field in the dry years. Then now talking about the targets, the country has a minimal installed capacity, insignificant one in this moment, so we are in early beginning. But the government has ambitious goal to go with hundreds of new capacities within 2030. It is thought to be translated in around 15 or up to 20 percentage of the country's energy, the total production. Talking about regulatory changes, these are crucial to this journey. Albania is harmonizing its policies with the European countries. This is making to rethinking and has already rethinking the project, and they are now proposed in a package, in a complete package. This eliminates the red tape and streamlines the approval process. The first national auction was just finalized. It was open in June and June 2023 and finalized in June 24. And as it was prepared with the assistance of EBRD and the SECO. And it has attracted the interest of significant companies from the Europe and the rest of countries that have this technology. And the auction has already awarded 222 megawatt of capacity across 3 main notable international developers, which are in specific, if it makes interest, the total NRM from France, which secures 75 megawatt for for a record low price that it was considering that time, that it was 44.88 euro for megawatt hour. And the other 2 was a company from Turkey, Guris company, and which has awarded 74 megawatt for 74 euro for megawatt hour, and the Verbund from Austria secured 72 megawatt for around 75 euro for megawatt hour. Then it could be said that these projects are now in the pipeline and are expecting to enhance Albania's overall renewable energy portfolio with a substantial addition of wind capacity. This aligns with the Albanian's strategy to diversify its energy sources and the European Union to increase the security within renewable energy targets. The auction, what is more important, demonstrated that Albania is committed to attract foreign investors, to put what could be possible to lower the cost of investment, and positioning itself as a country that aims to grow wind energy market, one of the most like the rest of the region. Passing specifically about the compelling or aspects that make attracting the Albanian market, we use mostly the mechanism of public-private partnership or direct investments, foreign direct investments, which play a central role because in this process, because the country's needs for the expertise of foreigner companies and for the funding. The Albania government, by its side, is committed to provide long-term power purchase agreement and search to put the incentives with the taxes and other aspects, which are significant draws for international partners. Which has made many investors from many countries like Italy, France, Germany, but also Turkey and even China to see with interest this emerging country, this emerging market in this moment. Of course, there are challenges for completing my reply. There are challenges. They have to do mostly with the relevance of infrastructure and the need of investment, especially for storage system and the grid for they need a grid of an upgrade of the grid. As well as we can expand even to the aspects that are critical that has to do with the engagement of local communities and the conduct of environmental assessments to secure and ensure sustainable investment. But in summary, it could be said that the country, Albania's wind energy market offers substantial growth potential and opportunities, and I really invite every investor to look at Albania as a partner for renewable and wind developments in the Balkan.
Thank you, thank you. In the next round, I believe we will go into some details of the keywords that I noted, the challenges and opportunities. You mentioned the grid aspect, environmental impact assessment, the engagement with local communities. Maybe we would hear more about the success factors as to how your country can exploit a larger potential of wind. Thank you. Taşkın Bey, you are quite experienced and knowledgeable about the wind markets in general, and I believe you are focusing on developed markets in Europe,
Yes.
such as France, Germany, and many others. So, from this perspective, developed markets perspective, again, the same question. What's the potential, the growth opportunities, market size, and challenges and opportunities, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and everybody is welcome to our session. Well, actually, I have a presentation. I have some speech which I can talk for like 15 minutes. But at the end of the day, what I'm gonna say at the end, I can say from the very beginning that these markets are developed markets. So we are talking about low risk but low IRRs, but low profits. That's actually what I was gonna say at the end of my speech, but that is the main picture in these developed markets. Today I wanna go into details with regards to Germany, Spain, and Italy. When looking into Germany, we're talking about like 70 we are talking about like 70 gigawatts of wind power plant, which consists 28% of the total installed capacity, while we are talking about 33% of solar capacity and of the 250 gigawatts of installed capacity in Germany. So it shows us that in Germany, the total share of the renewables is already at 80%, which shows you that the market is saturated. And whenever you are going into this market, you need to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more curious about the developments. But is this the end of the investment area? Definitely not. Within the developed markets, you have other options. You have the trading options, you have the balancing market options. Nowadays, you have the battery options, BSS options. So you can focus on these aspects of the investment and always try to make your feasibilities into a better shape. That's what I can say about Germany. And one thing about Germany is that we are talking, if we want to develop a new wind project, we are talking about 5 to 7 years approximately approximately from the project idea till the commissioning of the power plants. And one other thing regarding Germany is the easy access to financing. That is also one of the most critical points that I should mention about Germany. And now looking into Spain, where most of us already know that Spain is the heaven for especially solar projects and wind projects. In Spain, we are talking about 130 gigawatts of installed capacity, and 24% of this installed capacity, like 32 gigawatt, is coming from the wind power plants, whereas 25% of this capacity, approximately 33 gigawatt, is coming from solar projects. So we are talking about 66 percentage of renewable share in the Spain market, which is a little bit less saturated than Germany, but looking into the high solar potential and the presence of high renewable projects here, the prices are a little bit lower than the rest of the Europe. So you have to be careful about the pricing when you're entering this country. And one other thing is that, of course, there are the country-wide agreements that the country has already entered into with the EU and other related institutions. They're trying to install 50 gigawatts of wind power plant until 2030, which is also in line with other countries as well. So they're trying to facilitate the permission processes and the tariffs that can be used to support these projects, but still we are talking about long and hard permission process when we are looking into Spain. That's also, we have to keep this in mind. But of course, you can always enter into PPAs and try to find better financing also in Spain. With the presence of the PPAs, it's always easier to find financing, as you already know. So this can be another tool to move in Spain. Another tool that I can mention specifically for Spain for the timing is the use of battery systems, BES systems, with the presence of so much solar and the cannibalization, solar cannibalization. There's always a margin where you can play with the storage facilities, which is actually, by the way, the case for Germany as well. Yesterday, Servet from Pure Energy was mentioning how the margins were quite large for price optimization when you are talking about battery storage systems. So we can always keep this in regard when we are talking about developed countries. And the third country that I want to go into detail is Italy. As IC Antara, we have analyzed many countries, and our first investment is determined to be in Italy. That's why I want to say Italy for the last. And when looking in Italy, we are talking about 137 gigawatt of the total installed capacity, and the wind installed capacity is only 12 gigawatts, which represents 9% of the total installed capacities, whereas solar is 35 gigawatts, representing 26% of the total installed capacity. This gives us in total 46% of renewable investments in the country within the total installed capacity. So this clearly shows that there is a huge way for wind projects in Italy to move forward. That's why we mainly focused on Italy. But again, we are talking about quite a length away to go from STMG stage from the beginning of the project until the commissioning. We are still talking about 4 to 5 years in Italy as well. But in Italy, the cannibalization regarding the wind projects is much more lower than when compared to other countries. There is some regarding solar power projects, but for wind, it's it's in a better shape. And also, Italy is trying to improve its national energy security, and trying to focus more on domestic indigenous energy resources. So they have published a decree in 2024 February, and they are trying to incentivize all the wind and solar investments within the country. So that's why we are quite active in Italy. We currently have 2 projects that are undergoing and a couple of projects that are on the greenfield stage. So we are definitely favoring Italy among these developed countries. But still, I can tell you that this is also a developed country, and you have to be quite careful when entering this country as well, because the market is almost saturated, and in a saturated market, you always need some additional solutions to make your financial studies into a better shape. We should all keep this in mind. That's what I would like to say. Actually, this can be all for the first round, if that's okay.
Thank you very much so. Indeed, I took some notes, and
Yes.
I saw the audience taking notes. I think number one, saturated markets, different characteristics compared to developing markets. We will discuss further developing markets.
Yes.
So be careful about future growth opportunities.
Yes.
Message number one. Message number two, the Italy focus, and based on the figures you mentioned, I found certain similarities with our country, Turkey, in terms of the current installed wind solar
Capacities, yes,
capacity,
yes,
its
exactly.
share in total installed capacity. So similar growth rate projections, I believe, more or less. And another similarity is the current focus on enhancement of energy security, which means, as you said, incentivizing, supporting local production, including wind and solar. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So let's move on to another interesting market. Volkan Bey, Romania. Yes, your turn, please. Same question.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me, by the way? Actually, Taşkın Bey mentioned about the developed countries. He mentioned that it is low risk, low return. I'm going to mention about moderate risk, moderate return, meaning Eastern EU countries, and I think Erdal is going to mention about the high risk, high return.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
And actually, why we picked Romania as our first step in our abroad expansion. As Koç Group, we have a very strong local existence there. We have Arçelik, Romania, we have Ford, Romania there. And we believe in the growth potential of this country, and as a renewable investment company of Koç Group, we thought that it's going to be the best pick to start with. And when we started our journey 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, and what we have seen when we tried to understand these markets, it was the second renewable booms in this geography. I'm going to focus on Romania, but we also studied the neighboring countries like Bulgaria, like Greece. And we have seen that the market dynamics are quite similar to each other. And since we are so used to market dynamics in Turkey, we were quite surprised when we see the demand. Demand is not growing. Also, especially in the last years, there are even declines in the demand. And when you know that in Turkey we are used to 3%, 2%, excluding the financial crisis years, there is always a growth in the demand. But in these geographies, demand is stable. The installed capacity is stable. So what's the motivation for the renewable investments there? So 10 years ago, in the beginning of 2010, the first boom was there. And the boom was motivated with the incentives, the feed-in tariffs or green certificate schemes. And with these motivations, there was a substantial investment in the solar and in the wind. But in 2013, these green certificates or incentives were halted, and all the industry was hibernated. They didn't move for 10 years. So when we decided to make our move 3 or 4 years ago, the motivation was something different. The motivation was the electricity prices went crazy after, in the post-COVID era. The electricity prices, the commodity prices went up 6 times, 7 times higher. So by the crazy electricity prices, all the renewable investors, the developers were there, not only in Romania, but also in Bulgaria, also in Greece. So the motivation was the high electricity prices, and the market was a real seller's market. The other point that we are surprised was the installed capacity. When you sum Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, the total installed power of these countries are approximately half of Turkey, 62 gigawatts. And the share of the winds were limited, and no new additional capacity for the wind was there for the last 10 years. Approximately, in total, 9 gigawatts installed capacity are there in these 3 countries. And in the last 10 years, only 500 megawatts capacity was installed. But this does not mean that the market is not really interesting there. The market is really attractive. The competition is really fierce. And most of the projects have been developed recently, and the project stock is really enormous. As an example, in Romania, the overall installed capacity of the country is 22 gigawatts. And the project pipeline for just solar and wind is more than 100 gigawatts. And the picture is really more impressive in Greece. The project the project pipeline is more than 150 gigawatts. But this doesn't guarantee that all these projects are going to be realized. So we are also familiar to that kind of project developments in Turkey. At the end of the day, only the best ones can be realized there. So when we have just analyzed the markets, these were what we have seen. The second part, the second difference compared to Turkey was the project development approach. In Turkey, first you secured grid. You first secure the grid, then you develop the projects. But in these countries, you secure the land, you develop the projects after you get the generation license there. That's why this is another reason of this amount of project pipeline actually. That's why we believe that by the normalization of the electricity prices that we see in the last years, the market is going to be more buyers' markets, and the most of the projects are going to be realized. So if the demand is not growing, how these projects are going to be realized? The motivation, also another motivation is strong commitments of EU countries for the green transition. By 2030, by 2032, most of the coal power plants are going to be phased out. And the gap in the capacity are going to be filled with the solar and the wind. But comparing solar and wind, what we see, 90% of the projects are solar because it is easier to develop, and it is less sophisticated, and it is quicker. So as Antec, we like wind projects more. In our Turkish pipeline of ours, we have a growth pipeline of 720 megawatt right now, and 90% of it is wind. So we believe in the future of the wind much more, but it is not so easy to find good quality wind projects there. So the idea is we have made our first move with a big solar project in Romania. We have signed our first SPA in abroad, approximately 200 megawatt solar power plant in Romania. But right now we have very keen interest for the good quality wind projects there. And to be specific in wind compared to Turkey, the capacity factor, the wind speeds are much higher in Turkey. But anyway, there is a possibility to find some projects in these geographies. And as long as you can find a good capacity factor, as long as you can find a good grid connection terms, the projects can be interesting for any investor. Thank you.
Thank you, Volkan Bey. Quite useful indeed, and one of the critical points, I believe, the green transition agenda of the European Union, European Commission, and you talked about EU member countries. So
Yeah.
another difference or a peculiarity compared to these developing markets and countries, and compared to Turkey, our country, Turkey as well. So you mentioned the challenges and the opportunities. And the next round, my question will be what, as Turkish investors, Turkish wind industry, Turkish market players can bring into these markets to contribute their development, and also to bring value-added opportunities for our country, Turkey, for the next round. Save it, please. Again, as Volkan Bey mentioned, now we are moving to high growth, but coming with certain challenges.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Please.
Welcome
Please.
to our session. I try to mention, I try to give brief information about the three main countries, Balkans countries, Albania, Kosovo, and the North Macedonia, where we have been active for many years. First of all, I would like to start with Kosovo. Kosovo is the earliest stage of its wind journey, but has made a significant stride in establishing the renewable energy. But while coal power plants dominates the power sector in Kosovo, there is a push to diversify their power energy. The installed capacity in Kosovo is, the wind installed capacity in Kosovo is 136 megawatt, and we have one wind power plant, which is the first Kosovo first wind power plants with the capacity of 32.4 megawatt. We are generating 95,000 megawatt hour annually, and there are two wind power plants in Kosovo, and these two wind power plants contribute 45% of the total electricity energy in Kosovo. The majority comes from the coal power plants, and with the how can I explain, with the new regulation and policy support, they are trying to shift to the renewable energy. And when it comes to Albania, also Mr. Loring mentioned the tender period. the Albanian government announced the result of the country's first utility scale selected site auction for onshore. 3 bidders have been awarded capacity with total 223 megawatt. We are the one of the successful bidder, bid of 74 euro per megawatt hour, and capacity is 74.88 megawatt. And also the country aims to increase their renewable energy. Their target is 300 megawatt by 2030. And when it comes to North Macedonia, also North Macedonia has been actively working to expand its renewable energy in line with the EU goals and regional climate commitments. North Macedonia has a modest and only one power plant with the capacity of 36.8 megawatt. Name is Boğdancı, and contributes 2 to 3% of the total electricity generation. In North Macedonia, we have 2 wind power plants, each capacity of 35 megawatt, which are under operation. Also, the government aims to increase wind capacity significantly with targets to reach about 100 and 150 megawatt by 2030. In the second round, I can share our experience and our challenges during the construction of our wind power plant in Kosovo.
Thank you. Thank you. The numbers may look rather small compared to what we see around within Turkey, but compared to the total population, total energy, not only power, the total energy, including everything, oil, gas, everything, these figures are sizable indeed, comparatively. So there's a growth potential. And next round, as you said, we would like to learn more about your experiences as Girish while moving into these markets. Thank you. Mrs. Taranko is waiting on the screen. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Merhaba, nasılsınız?
Merhaba. Çok teşekkürler. Thank you. Thank you.
Biraz Türkçe konuşuyorum ama sadece biraz, so I will switch to English. Thank you for invitation and for the opportunity to present Polish market. Using the fact that I'm online, which I partially regret that I cannot meet you in person, but using this possibility, I will show you a few pictures while I'm describing the potential of Polish market. So just first sentence about myself and the organization, and to introduce Wind Industry Hub is a foundation of Polish Wind Energy Association, the largest wind sectoral organization in Poland, where we have around 80 developers, and the rest of the companies is a value chain. Most of the companies you can see here, this is an international organization, but also we have some domestic companies. Wind Industry Hub, as a foundation, is supporting development of industrial base, so supply chain for wind sector, and enabling international cooperation. So feel free to contact me after this discussion panel. I wanted to show you one picture which you can see on your own. It's available online. It's electricity map app available from Google research. And there you can, some of you may already know it, but you can check there what is the energy mix for each country. Actually, in the world, here we've got a focus on Europe, and this shows very clearly why Poland is actually an extremely interesting market in terms of renewable development. These data are for 2023, but we can check anytime how it looks at each hour, daily or monthly. Here we can see that most of our production still is based on coal, almost 100 terawatt hours. And to be honest, we are the least sustainable economy in terms of energy production and its sources in European Union. And at the same time, quite large economy, population, and electricity demand. These numbers which you can see here, it is our National Energy and Climate Plan, which it is an obligation to show this to European Commission, and it shows what are the ambitions and numbers to be gained until 2030 and 2040. For now, in onshore wind in Poland, we've got 10 gigawatts of installed capacity. In photovoltaic, around 20 gigawatts. In 2030, in photovoltaic, we want to have 29 gigawatts. In onshore wind, we want to have 19 gigawatts. So we expect the capacity to be doubled in comparison to the present situation. We want to have also almost 6 gigawatts in offshore wind. And how we can see here, the production from coal is expected to decrease dramatically in comparison to what is happening now. So actually, we honestly have a renewable revolution and the actual energy transition ongoing in Poland right now. And when we look at the wind power specifically, in 2040, it will be responsible or should be responsible according to the national strategy for 70% of electricity production in Poland. The main focus we talked today is onshore wind, but also it's worth to show that we are gaining a speed in offshore wind projects. Right now, we are finishing the contracting phase for wave 1 of projects. These are these light blue colors. We have planned a second wave of projects for which next year will be the first auction in 2025, then 2027, 29, and 31. And we assess the whole potential of economical zone of Baltic Sea for Poland for 33 gigawatts. So in the national strategy for now, we have 18 gigawatts till 2040, but still there is another part of projects that can be developed as a wave 3 and could double these capacities that are planned to 2040. For this investment program in offshore wind project, already the infrastructure is under development. So we will have the installation port in Gdańsk, installation port in Świnoujście, several service ports in Ustka, in Łeba, in Władysławowo. By the way, here is Choczewo marked. That is a small village where there will be the electro energy station for offshore wind farms, but also a nuclear power plant is planned in this village here. These are some details of projects. Probably you can see it clearly just to show the developers that these are mainly JVs of Polish companies like Orlen, like PGE, like Polenergia, who cooperate with developers like Equinor, Ørsted, or Nordland Power. So Polish companies are open for such cooperation, and for the second wave, There are already areas designed, and two Polish companies, Orlen and PGE, awarded these areas, and now they are opening discussions about potential cooperation in offshore. In terms of industrial base and new facilities, for offshore wind, there is new wind turbine assembly plant from Vestas, which will be operated next year, so in 2025. Tower factory in Szczecin from Windar, Spanish company, which will be ready probably in 2026. Tower factory in Gdańsk, a common investment of a Polish state-owned company, and GRI Renewables, so again, Spanish company. But what we observe is that this ecosystem of supply chain companies is actually right now growing at the market, and in case you will be interested in such cooperation, there will be for sure multiple options. And what is important, I'm showing here how the offshore hub is growing, but in onshore wind power, we expect a second boom of installations in the coming years, as for 6 years in a row, there was in force a distance law that actually stopped projects from 2016 to 2023. There was a law saying that we cannot put a wind turbine closer than a time 10 times the height of a turbine to the houses or some other objects. So it actually excluded most of the area at the country. This law was liberalized last year for 700 meters. This year, we expect further liberalization for 500 meters. And already it is visible that developers prepare their projects, and they would like to develop them in a coming years. Some pictures from facilities already under construction. It's hard to describe the market in just a few minutes, so just to let you know, on our website you can find different reports that cover these topics and describe in details different aspects. We also organize conferences, the closest one from 20 to 21 of November in Warsaw, focusing on offshore wind Poland, but also in June next year, in the middle of the year, by the seaside in Świnoujście, we organize the largest wind conference in Poland, and we are warm welcome to come and visit us. If not, in case you're planning to be at Wind Europe event in Copenhagen in April, we will be there also. Just for the start, I hope it is okay, and I'm happy to develop it more in the second round.
Thank you very much. I think we learned a lot in a nutshell from your presentation about the highlights of the Poland's efforts to advance wind power, including the supply chain. And we saw an extensive plan to deploy a diverse set of infrastructure to support the country's strong and ambitious energy transition plan. And we saw the numbers, and wind will have an important share in the future of Polish energy market. So, Mrs. Taranko, from your perspective, what's the potential for Turkish investors, Turkish wind industry? Because I know you are also familiar with the strengths and the muscles of the Turkish industry, are exciting wind power journey so far. We already have 12 gigawatts installed, strong players, motivation to duplicate the success in different markets and regions. So from your perspective, what could Turkish investors and supply chain players can bring into your story of growth in wind? And what are the success factors? Thank you.
All right. For sure, it is still undefined market, so still growing also in onshore wind and offshore wind. So there's always a larger opportunity for newcomers than as it was discussed in already developed markets and countries where you have the least areas which are available. There is a lot of happening in Poland right now in terms of legislation facilitating permitting process, but also some clarifications on the grid, as everywhere we have troubles in connections. But our TSO claims that there is 100 gigawatts of capacities awarded to different companies, and not all of them are developing projects. So now, right now, there is a discussion internally how we can clarify, verify these projects to give new capacities from the grid to investors, and it will definitely happen in the next, let's say, 1 or 2 years, as there is a huge pressure not only from the business but also from the government to develop renewables today. Such, let's say, discussion window from the politicians wasn't in place before with the former government that actually worked on retaining coal, so it was much more difficult to develop projects. Today, for sure, administration is open for cooperation, and it's much easier to conduct such projects. It's the first thing. Second is that we will need to scale up with the capacities that we have in our supply chain, but also with the activity of developers. Because if we observed a first installation boom in onshore wind several years ago, but then there was a gap in investments, some of these companies changes their area of business. Many of them went to photovoltaic, where we had actually a huge boom of installations, but mainly in individual installations. So there is still a big area of cooperation for companies that would like to make large-scale PVs. But having these expectations for a second boom of investments to come, we will be needing most of the companies in the whole value chain to scale up. And we won't do it on our own. Obviously, as a sector, we work on a strategy where are our national specializations and what we would like to do on our own domestically. However, we focus also very much on European industrial strategy, looking for strengthening European industry and looking for some synergies between countries in Europe in terms to be able to conduct projects that are developed in here in cooperation with the companies coming from Europe. So what we do, we are trying to be on different events, exposition support, exporting abilities of our companies, but also enabling this dialogue between companies, because Turkey, as you've mentioned, has, as Poland, a huge track of record in industrial activity, in manufacturing. We have in building sector great examples of good cooperation. I think that in general, our nations like each other, so I can see very numerous opportunities for cooperation. However, when I look at the nationalities that are present in Poland, there are not many Turkish companies in comparison to Danish, Dutch, or even Spanish, what I showed. So warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's continue with the Turkish investors, Turkish industries' current and potential contributions to wind market development and overall energy market development, energy transition of the countries that we are discussing. Again, Albania. You mentioned, Lawrence, about the potential and the opportunities. So what would be your recommendations, suggestions to potential Turkish investors, the wind industry within Turkey, to look into the further growth opportunities in Albania? Thank you.
Bora. Looking by this point of perspective of cooperation and collaboration and the interest that may this produce, I can say that by the side of Albania, the country has put it has enacted the law favoring the renewable investments, providing a solid legal base framework. For example, from the PPAs that there are from many years. And by the other side, it can be useful of this cooperation, the rapid growth of a wind sector that has leveraged the expertise of Turkish companies and their technology, the development of technology, wind technology in this perspective. Both this combination can create what is needed is a strategic partnership without neglect the local engagement and the adaptability that needs the Albanian energy market. Despite this, for sure, there are some challenges that can still persist. For example, one of them can be related with regulatory uncertainties that could be resolved with a continued dialogue within the government and keeping updated on the potential regulatory changes in continue of this partnership. Further, the difficulties persist regarding the infrastructure. There is a need for sure of improving of infrastructure and the support from the government. And another one, but what I see more crucial has to do with knowing and being updated about the market dynamics. Investors need to be navigated to the complexity of the energy pricing and the market dynamics, understanding to this regard, understanding the local energy consumption patterns and establishing a reliable power purchase agreement with private sector is fundamental to have successful execution of the project. But more in specific related to the entrance, the aspect that investors have to consider related to the factor of success that have to for entrance in the market is the local partnership, searching to collaborate with local developers and companies that can enhance market entry strategies and facilitate project execution. Another aspect has to do with the risk management. This could be overpassed through due diligence and employing robust risk management strategies that can mitigate the potential changes associated with the regulatory changes and the market fluctuation. Further, the capacity building, investing in local capacities building and human resources development can contribute to long-term sustainable and acceptable and make acceptable the wind energy projects within local authorities. And what I mostly suggest always is to overtake with a pilot project, starting with a smaller project. For example, the wind project up to 3 megawatt. I know they are very small, but they are supported with PPAs in continue. So starting with a small project can allow the investor to taste the waters and to refine their strategies before scaling up with a bigger project. Then regard this perspective, I could conclude that Albania presents a promising landscape for wind energy investment, backed up by supportive regulatory framework and strategic resources, and the lesson learned and the support that can come from the partners from Turkey could help to navigate the challenges and make a key success factor for that can contribute both by one side for the Albanian's energy transition and by other side for reaping the benefit of this rapid growth of the market that Albania permit.
Thank you. Erdal Bey, could you add more about Albania and also North Macedonia and
I would like
Kosovo?
to add something on Kosovo.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please.
First of all, I would like to explain why we made the investment in Kosovo 6 or 7 years ago. Because Kosovo is a very small country, and there are lots of risk. But when we choose the project was a feed-in tariff price with the price of 85 euro. And also our cultures are very close to each other, so we can understand us very easily. And also, when we checked the Kosovo market 6 or 7 years ago, we saw that the market is projected to grow by 10 to 15% annually over the next decade. For that reason, we choose this Kosovo market.
And any recommendations for future, related to the future growth of these three markets that you mentioned, Kosovo, Albania, North Macedonia, for future investments for Turkish investors?
For the future for
the next
Turkish,
decade.
I can say that this country presents a promising opportunity for the Turkish investor. I think, for example, market size and the growth target and the policy support. But right now, this country is moving away from the traditional feed-in tariff. Right now, is transferring to the auction-based system. And these regions also have to complete with the regional energy integration. And these countries untapped wind potential. For example, Albania, there isn't any wind project available right now. This is untapped, and how can I explain? This is a fresh country to make an invest in Albania. For that reason, we joined the tender for the Albania, and now we have a 75 megawatts under development. Few months ago, we signed a PDA agreement, which is project development agreement with the related authority. Now our project is ongoing.
Taşkın Bey, lessons learned and your valuable suggestions and recommendations. You gave certain hints about the saturated markets and why to be careful, how to be careful. But what we, as the Turkish industry, can bring further to developed markets, if any. If any, question mark.
Yes. If any is a good completion for the sentence, because since we're talking about the developed markets, there is not much you can take from Turkey to there. But what we can take from here to there is that our capabilities to deal with project development, we are experienced in that. We are experienced in project management and people management. These are the things that we can take. We already have the technical knowledge, but the countries that we go already have this technical knowledge. So what we can differentiate ourselves is the warm-hearted nature of the people that we are, and the project management capabilities that we have. These are the things that we can take. And Frankly speaking, we are much more, how can I say in English, we are much more adapting to the situation when it requires. We are trying to find solutions in a quicker way. These are quite important things when you go out to developed countries. And for those markets, as I mentioned, there is low risk, low return, but you have to find additional ways to create value. This is your challenge when you go there, and that is what you should be looking for when you go there. That's what we are doing actually. Thank you.
I think well understood. Thank you, Taşkın Bey. Volkan Bey, same response or differentiating developed
the
markets
moderate.
for Bulgaria, and also you mentioned that the similarities, our neighbors, Turkey's neighbors, Greece, Bulgaria, and plus Romania. Any suggestions?
Suggestions for Turkish investors, what
Yes,
we
exactly.
can contribute there.
Yes.
Actually, the other speakers have touched very fair points there. I agree with them. What we can contribute is, I believe, is our expertise. As I stated in the first round, the industry in these countries haven't experienced any investments in the last 10 years. But when we just look at Turkey, Turkey always created his story. In the last 20 years, everything started with the hydro power plant investments. Then there was a boom for the wind. There was a boom for the solar afterwards. Then for the unlicensed projects. Right now we are talking about WEC and 120 gigawatt targets. And these targets always kept the sector busy. And it also helped the people in the sector to gain really good experiences. Not only in terms of the project management, but also in terms of the manufacturing of some components. And in Turkey, these kind of investments are really incentivized. That's why the local components, the manufacturing of the local components are not in a bad levels, I can say. So what we can contribute, yes, I agree with Taşkın Bey, we are adaptive and we are flexible as Turkish investors. Eastern European is not for every investors, we can say. You have to be creative, you have to know what you are doing very well, and you also have to tackle with the ambiguity in the markets. But also in terms of the, I believe, in terms of the manufacturing, there is a phenomenon right now, especially in the grid part. There is a bottleneck in the grid, not only in Romania, not only in Bulgaria, not only in Greece, but everywhere right now, because there is a boom, especially because of the solar. And right now, just because of one component, the project timelines can be 6 months or 1 year longer than expected, longer than we are used to. That is high voltage transformers. And as Turkish manufacturers, I believe, there are very good quality companies there. And when we consider a project timeline in these geographies, Turkish high voltage transformer or high voltage equipment is always an option there. And I believe these sectors are going to grow more and more in the following years. And another point is the experienced contractors, experienced developers. When you go to these countries, you see that there are lots of Turkish companies, and they even cannot read their alphabet, but they have developed hundreds of megawatts of projects for solar, for wind. That's why I think our contribution is not only for the investments, but also in the technical parts, also in the management and the project management, and also during the operations, I guess. I think this is the biggest gain we had in the last 20 years. I believe as Turkish in the key players of the Turkish renewable industry, this is going to plus not only in the Eastern European EU countries, but everywhere in the world.
Thank you, Volkan Bey. So I think we should think out of box, and not only the wind supply chain, but you mentioned a couple of examples, insightful recommendations. Thank you. Thank you. So I think we heard a lot, certain keywords, I would say. The challenges and opportunities, we discussed challenges and opportunities. We learned a lot from our distinguished panelists, but some common words appeared. We heard during your interventions, elaborations, grids, readiness of the grid. I think this is one of the common challenge slash opportunity. Currently challenge, but could be a driver for further growth. We also heard permitting. Most of you mentioned about the permitting times, permitting challenges. I noted different tariff levels, feed-in tariffs are moving on to auctions, tenders, so I think this is a critical factor to watch and consider. So what you would add on top of that? Grids, permitting, and market price, auction, feed-in, whatever. What's the price level, right price level, or the motivation of the policymaker and regulator regulating and managing the wind market, the permitting issues and grid. What would be your number 4, Lorenz, on top of that? Very quickly, please, because
yes,
we will have
very quickly,
10
rapidly
minutes.
for Albanians. The country has been preparing from years, and there are many projects that are already developed and ready to be. There are already bring in advance and are already to be developed. Then, what I could be very interesting to mention is the particular will of a government authority, as even Erdal has put it. There is no relevant project in Albania in wind energy, so we are looking forward to have at least a relevant project in wind. So I invite everyone to take investors, to take advantage of this unique opportunity to have a strong political will to put in place a wind project. And there are several projects that could be developed that we are really in the beginning of this stage.
Thank you. Taşkın Bey, the key challenges, I think we discussed a lot, but could you add, or would you like to add another angle?
Actually, three things: regulations, access to financing, and also the bureaucracy.
A nice combination.
Yeah, that's the end of the story, I would say.
Yes. Erdal Bey.
For these 3 Balkans countries, also I can add the same issue, regulatory and bureaucratic complexities, because getting permits and approval or decision or authorization can be complicated and lengthy, so it will take too much time. You have to be patient in this country if you want to make an investment.
Volkan Bey.
I agree with the other speakers, and I want to add negative prices. It was a phenomenon just observed in the developed countries like Germany before, but starting from last year, especially in the Eastern European countries, this came sooner than expected. In this year, I believe, in the first half, 70 hours negative prices were seen in the Romanian market. And compared to Germany's 330 hours, we can feel that enemy is at the gate. So you need to solve this problem with 2 methods, I believe. There are 2 aspects: technical and commercial. For the technical parts, I believe battery storage is going to be a good option to tackle this issue. And from the financial aspect, I believe long-term PPAs are going to a must for these, especially solar investments. But considering that the daily prices are going to be also a problem of wind and they are going to expose to these risks, I think battery storage is going to be also a must for the wind investments as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Taranko, would you like to add a few words while we are approaching to the end of the panel?
Yes, thank you. I would say that we are facing in Poland most of the challenges that you've mentioned and most of these factors. But what I would add and is specific for Poland is the scale of these challenges in a with the shortage of time. We are seen as the country with the highest energy prices for the business, for the industry, and at the same time, 20% of our GDP is industry. Our coal infrastructure is dramatically old, and it just needs to stop being operated, not only because of the reasons of decreasing emissions, which obviously are in line with the European Union strategy, but also due to the age of this infrastructure. So in terms of avoiding blackouts in several years in Poland, we just need to dramatically develop other energy sources. Renewables are the cheapest. The industry and in general companies look for sustainability and green energy. So this is for sure the direction for the country. And what is also important is that today we observe that on the regulatory part, yes, we face many challenges like shortening permitting or proper construction of support system or developing PPA market which is already in place, like cable pulling and direct line solutions needs to be further developed. But even this week there was announced a new idea for auctions specifically for large investors, like for example data centers, that they could order an individual auction for green energy announced by the regulator, by the ministry, and this is done to keep the demand for energy increasing. As an economy, Poland in 30 years in a row is growing, and we want to keep it. So at the same time, we are thinking how to keep the demand or increase the demand. So I believe that the scale of challenges needs cooperation and support from some other countries and companies involved.
Yes, so another critical message is, I believe, the regional cooperation and cooperation among actors, policymakers, regulatory investors, technology providers to make wind growth a real success story. So I think we are closing. First of all, thanks to TÜREP for this, again, wonderful, successful TÜREK and bringing us together. Thanks to Batuhan Bey, behind the scenes, he was one of the heroes to bring together this wonderful panel. And on behalf of WEC Turkey, I would like to thank you all for your participation. And let me give our panelists for their ideas, recommendations, suggestions while looking forward into the future. Thank you.
Bora Bey, thank you for your great moderation, plus perfect time management. Even we started a bit late, we finished on time. So
exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Bora Bey, değerli katılımcılarımız, hepinize çok teşekkür ederim. TÜREP adına Bora Bey şu hediyeyi size sunmak isterim. Sesim hala iyileşmemiş, bekliyordum.
Tablolar.